You're tuned into the New Old Heads podcast, premiered every Thursday at noon at bringingdowntheband.com and brought to you by No Bad Ideas, Coleman Dental, Printfinity, and Indie CD and Vinyl. Support the New Old Heads by visiting our Patreon at patreon.com/newoldheads.
Episode 159 of the New Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7th. I make incredible beats. At least I think so.
No,
Across the table from me, as always, able to Professor, Decademics teacher, I call him, super producer, founder of bringingdowntheband.com. As always, Lonegevity, how are you, sir?
Doing all right. Hi.
Good to see you, sir.
Thanks.
How you doing? I'm good, man. I can't complain. Good to see you.
You too.
On this brisk winter day that we have out here.
It's very brisk.
Going around the table, filling in for Jay Diff. Shout out to Jay Diff. We see you, boy. Former radio personality, master of ceremonies, and voice of Indianapolis, my man Jay Moore. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Doing very well. Just trying to stay warm like everyone else.
Yeah, man, this snow just came out of nowhere, brother.
No, it came out of the sky.
Well, fair enough. I stand corrected. To my immediate left, DJ extraordinaire, avid Chicago sports fanatic. He also is in control of his own life, the incomparable DJ Spoolz.
Actually, I'm the CEO of my own life. Hello, Michael.
How are you, sir?
Doing well. How are you?
Hey, man. Doing pretty good. Your Bears won.
They did, man. Oh.
We'll take it, right? You'll take it. Bless you. Bless you, sir.
Thank you. We will take it.
Yeah.
Shit. Fuck this weather. You know what I think I'm going to get, man?
What's that?
Never owned.
Nutty
I'm gonna
pot?
get some. No, I'm going to get some.
Humidifier.
I'm going to get some long
Those work.
johns.
Long Johns.
Like some long draws.
Yeah.
Put them under your pants.
Correct. But no, I was going to put them over my pants. Is that not how it works?
Well,
That's how cold it is.
Yeah.
yeah.
So under and over.
Yeah. Ooh, double up.
When you guys were small, did you ever have like a snowsuit?
Oh, yeah.
I had
yeah.
one full zip boy all the way up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect for those snow days.
Down south, they call those long johns, they call them unions down south. So,
Do they really?
yeah, my folks from the country, so
Okay.
they are definitely called unions.
Just
I
make
wonder
sure you're not
why.
making that up right now.
You know what? I'm going to
Yeah,
ask
I'm
my
gonna look that
mom.
up.
I'm going to look that up.
I'm going to ask my mom, and I'll have it next week.
Everybody in the low country knows what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
red dirt, red clay. You know what I'm talking about? That's what I'm talking about. My folks in Mississippi know what's that. Crit know what's up. He from
Okay.
Meridian. He know what's popping. Let's see. And this cold got me out here tripping, man. Got my mind all messed up out here.
Man, you know what it is.
All right, so I hate to start this way, but shout out to
But you're going to do it anyway.
I got to. Shout out to Bad Azz, man, the OG from the West Coast, passed away at 43. His birthday actually was this month, the 27th. He was a member of Dog Pound. He collaborated a lot with Snoop. West Coast legend, man. He was even on Doggy Style Records for a little bit.
He was one of the first artists on Doggy Style. He was actually in the movie A Thin Line Between Love and Hate.
There you go.
Yeah, they were performing that LBC crew.
He was on Crazy. He was on with Tupac.
With Tupac,
There you go.
So
Was Big Psych on that song too?
Oh my God, man! Somebody go pull up on us when he keep dissing Big Psych.
oh my enemies.
That's not a diss, man. It's a
Rest
genuine
in peace to
question.
Big Psych.
Yeah.
Man.
I want to know what he's on.
But no, he's an OG out there, man. I saw posts of him and Quick, and him and Battle Cat and all these cats out there, man. So he was, definitely heavy out there on the West Coast. There was actually a video of Daz, kind of talking about his passing and what he meant to the Dog Pound and just how they all came up together. So rest in peace to him, man. He's only 43 years old.
For sure.
Wow, man.
You know what I mean? So
I think he passed in jail. Is that correct?
that don't quote me on it. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah,
but,
I've seen conflicting reports.
Me too.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't quote us on that one, but that's floating
Yeah,
around.
I have to look that one up.
Not that it matters, but rest in peace to him.
Yeah, rest in peace to him, man. Also, this one hits home for me. My boy DJ Hellatight, man, from Indianapolis, he passed away a few days ago, and I actually was in the studio with him probably a week and a half ago. 2 weekends ago, we were in there together. We were working. I was playing some beats for his nephew, who's Fox Legend, young MC up and coming here in Indianapolis. And he had been wanting me to work with his nephew. I met him at Trees 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I said, I finally reached out to him, and he connected us. And he was really excited about, what the possibility of us working together could be. So he kind of facilitated that, and we met at Decademics twice, and we're just kind of going through records and stuff. And I just hate to see that, man, because I'm gonna guess he's early 40s. I can't remember his exact age, but just young, man, to be a guy that's a producer and heavy in the music scene in Indianapolis, an OG, if you will, and to spend time with someone just a week or two ago and then they're gone, like that's tough, man, because we really were just clowning around and going through records. So I hate to see the homie pass, but he's in a better place now. So rest in peace to DJ Hellatight. Definitely an influence here in Indy, man, for sure.
Yeah, I didn't know him personally, but I've definitely seen him tweet at us specifically on the show a few times. So
yeah, we were in the studio and he was telling me about how he'd have to close the door in his office because of the life lessons with Jay Moore, or certain stuff that we would say on our episodes. So he was fully into the new Old Heads brand and listen to every episode. He would tell me stuff about episodes. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we lost a good one there. So rest in peace to him. Shout out to his family.
To his family, man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No doubt about
that's
that.
Really tough.
Yeah, Fox legend as well, man. We praying for you as well. I know that was his uncle. So yeah, salute to the homie, man. Salute to the homie there. Let's see. Also, this was crazy too. I didn't even realize this until one of my homies showed me that Lil Reese got shot in Chicago.
I did see that. Lil Durk apparently said he's good.
Correction, it was in the suburbs. I'm sorry, out by Country Club.
It was like Country Club Hills.
Yeah.
Which the thing is, at one point that was definitely the suburbs, but that's changing a lot.
Maybe it has.
Or Hazel Crest. It's interesting. So I used to have a lot of family in Hazel Crest. My dad lived in Hazel Crest back in the day.
Word.
Like south suburbs.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a lot of friends like from Rich Central and but apparently that area is because they pushed a lot of the people who were in the city.
Yep.
Well, it's when they tore all the projects down.
Yeah.
Facts.
So they pushed a lot of people into what's considered to be the suburbs. So the demographics of Chicago are changing in a lot of ways.
So they have shifted.
Yeah.
I think it hasn't. Like it happened. What, they tore all the projects down? A lot of them like 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Give or take. When I first
the majority, not all of them, but at that time.
When I first
that displaced like 1 million people. Sorry, I didn't mean to keep.
No, you good.
But like that displaced like over 1 million people, I think. Like it's insane, man.
The old spot you used to live at, even didn't they tear all those down too?
When I first moved to Chicago, they still had. I think there were 2 that were still. They were either on their way. That one had been completely torn down. I stayed on the low end. There was one that was still up, and I feel
which
bad.
homes were which houses?
I feel bad because I cannot remember the name. It's where Kanye shot the home video. It's on the low end. It's going towards Chinatown. Oh man, I cannot think of the name of it. We used to drive by it when it would come up.
Yeah,
but it wasn't Cabrini. It was
not Robert
not
Taylor.
The Ickeys.
It was the Ickeys.
Was it?
Yep, it was the Ickeys.
They stayed up a little longer.
Yeah, they stayed up a little longer. It was the Ickeys. To your point, so that's crazy because I actually worked out in Country Club Hills.
What was it like when you worked out there?
It was nowhere near what you guys are describing or what's happening now.
I still don't think Country Club Hills is like.
It's not rough, but
it's not rough. Like
it used to be. Okay, that's where if you had a little money.
Yeah.
The people who I remember knowing from the south suburbs, they had a different vibe than the people who were actually in the city, if you will.
Yeah.
Sure. You know what I'm saying? Because I went to school with so many people from Chicago at SIU Carbondale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, but all, you know what I'm saying? I was friends with everybody because I didn't know any better. I was like, well, I'm from St. Louis, so I don't know what these different sides.
Yeah.
I just knew the people from the west side of Chicago were a little bit more like crucial conflict. Than,
how far south?
Than
how far south of the city is considered the suburbs, though?
Country Club is like 167th out that way.
So I want to say, is it outside of 120 something or 130 something?
It's past that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's past that.
No, I'm saying it's considered outside the city of Chicago. I know 111th is still in the city.
That's the city. I stayed off 127th, and that was considered Blue Island where I was at. So
that may be somewhere in
that area. Yeah. To your point, in all the hundreds, 115th, Racine, all those areas, those are still the hundreds. But when I was in Country Club Hills, it had a suburb vibe to it, you know. But it's just crazy because he actually got shot in the neck from what I heard.
Yeah,
and,
I did hear that. That was confirmed.
But with Dirk saying that he's okay, I don't know what that means. I mean, hopefully that's the case because you don't want to see anybody get killed. But
And actually, I read he technically went to the hospital in Hazelcrest.
oh, okay.
So he got shot in Country Club Hills. And what's weird about, or it's not that weird, is that the cops just found the car in the middle of the street
Oh, word?
with no one in it. And then they asked around all the local hospitals, and they'd heard about a man who had just been admitted for being shot in the neck at the Hazelcrest Hospital. So,
That's
like, he wasn't found by the police in his car. Like
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough, man. And
Yeah, I hope he rests up, man.
hopefully, you know, things have. That's one thing that has definitely changed in Chicago. Well, not. I don't want to say changed. I want to say it's heightened, like in terms of things like that happening. When I was up there, you know, and we talking 05, you know, 06, somewhere in there, like it was still cracking, but like now, it just continues to get worse, and the killings and just people getting younger and younger that are out here doing it. And you just got to be careful, man. Like any neighborhood, especially I stayed on the south side, so I was in Inglewood and all those areas like that. You just got to be careful, man, because I always tell people when rappers come from Chicago, and this is my opinion, when rappers come from Chicago and they are in the streets or making street music, I believe them when they come from Chicago. Now, I can't speak for anywhere else. I'm not saying they the toughest city. I'm not saying that. Based off my experiences, these dudes are about that action that are there. So I hope it doesn't, you know, set off something that starts getting crazy, you know, with Reese getting shot, because he was one of them dudes that was definitely in the street. So I just hope it doesn't start getting crazy out there, man, because them dudes, they really about that. They really are.
Well, you know, it's easy, because I know we always talk about, well, not always, because we try to give people the credit they deserve. But when you talk about young Chicago rappers, and the things they talk about, you got to understand this. Even when you talk about Common, if you go back to Resurrection, there's a lot of gang references littered through that album that if you don't know Chicago street politics, you just would dismiss. But since like I knew people who knew that life from Chicago when I went to college, and like Common, everybody looked up to Common. Like it was almost like that was Resurrection was bigger than Illmatic.
Right.
You know, if you were at SIU Carbondale, every dorm room had a copy of that going at one point. That, you know, we, like I said, we sometimes if we can just get these young cats a chance to grow up, then, you know, we can see something different, because, you know, Common had to grow up. Common wasn't always this international ambassador that he was now.
Right.
That's a fact.
You know, we know the, you know, movie star Common, and who, you know, hanging out at the White House Common, but we don't remember young knucklehead Southside dude Common.
Yeah.
That is really just a, you know,
The beef in Common.
Just a you know, a couple steps away from being, you know, as far as age wise and just experience wise, from being the Lil Durks, the Lil Reese's, the Chief Keefs. For sure. You know, they're just another iteration of what he was then. You know, like I said, I just hope, you know, these young cats get a chance to grow up, grow out of the things that have been and being products of their environment, you know, because you just never know who they could be if they just can make it to age 35 or 40.
That's a fact. And Common is, you talk about a turnaround, if you will, from, like you said, his surroundings from Chicago when he came up to now. Like, fam is just, you named all the stuff that he's doing. You know what I'm saying? And he's become like a very positive figure in hip hop, period. You know what I'm saying? And then, like you said, with the movies, and he even, I think he dating Angela Rye now. That's a good move. You know what I'm saying? We
you bring that up pretty often.
Yeah,
like
I mean, they broke up one time. I feel
like
Angela
that's
Rye, man.
a sore spot for you that Angela Rye is no longer available.
Yeah, I fool with Angela Rye, man. But I ain't mad because it's Common, so I ain't mad. I'm not mad at that.
Okay.
So, but no, shout out to Angela Rye if she watching. We appreciate you.
You know something wild about Chicago, though? Like
What's that?
The city, you know, it gets brought up all the time, all the shootings and the murders and things like that. There were actually more murders in the city, like at certain points in the 70s and 80s than...
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Than,
in the 90s were wild,
been.
just like it was for everywhere else in the country.
Yeah, yeah.
Then compared to maybe the last 10 years.
Well, also
you can just look it up.
when you talk about per capita as far as crime and whatnot, it's an easy thing for people in the political landscape to point to all the violence in Chicago.
Right.
Chicago's not even in the top 10 for violent crime.
Per capita.
Per
Yeah.
capita. It just so happens to be that Chicago's such a large city. But I was like, what about Memphis? What about St. Louis? Like, St. Louis is regularly at the top, if not
or
the top.
Birmingham or Baltimore or DC
Right.
or
Yeah.
Like, Chicago never, not that they
fucking
should,
Camden, New Jersey. I don't know
You
if you guys
know,
are familiar with Camden.
not that they should be wanting, like this is anything to be proud of.
No.
They should be wanting to crack the top 10 in this
Nah,
category.
nah,
but
we're
they're
not
never,
saying that.
Yeah,
they're
and what I
never
was saying
there.
too, like I don't like one's too many, right?
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's not. It's just kind of gives you a little perspective on things.
Mhm.
Chicago's always had a bad rap as far as that stuff's concerned. Maybe earned to a degree. I'll tell you guys a very quick, interesting story. But my dad grew up on the South Side, in Roseland, actually.
Yep.
Like 111th and State, and my grandparents moved to Myrtle Beach, and so he helped them move back, and so he's like in his 20s at this point. And he said, like, he stayed with them there for a couple weeks after they moved, and he just went to a bar at one point to hang out and watch a game and have a beer. Ended up chatting with some guy next to him. This is South Carolina, like it's the South, right?
Yep.
And the guy looks over after they chatted a little bit, and he goes, you don't sound like you're from here. Where are you from? My dad was like, I'm from Chicago. And the dude got up and like walked away.
Damn.
Wow.
Word.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
It was all good till
Damn,
he found out your dad's from Chicago.
He's like, check, please.
Isn't that wild? I mean,
Yeah.
that's more telling of like South Carolina and maybe being a little bit more misinformed or uninformed about things.
Yeah.
I think
My dad's not like an imposing man,
Right.
So, you know what I mean? That wasn't the
Yeah.
reason. I'm not trying to say that was. It was the fact that he was from there,
Chicago, that was
and
enough.
that guy's perspective of what he thought Chicago was about.
crazy northerner.
I mean,
Yeah.
the thing.
Gangster.
What's
He
ironic?
must know what a gang. Yeah. Like, yeah.
Yes, Al Capone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we all do. Yeah.
What's ironic is
Yankees.
this. The city is gorgeous, though.
It's one of my favorite places in the world. Man.
It's absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous. Did I say gorgeous?
Gorgeous, yes, you said
Y'all
that.
know what I mean. Architecture, man, everything, museums, all of that. Like it's great, but you just got to be careful, man. Now I will say this, we grew up in Indiana, all of us, but the winters there are different. I will say that.
Oh my goodness,
That
stay
wind
right
coming off the water. Look,
Come on, man. I stayed by the lake. Come on, man.
I
It's different.
was up there visiting
We're a block from the lake.
A block from the lake.
a friend of mine, and I remember I'm walking, to take the mega bus back to Indy, and it was, of course, it's right downtown.
Come on, man.
I'm walking, I got my gloves, my hat, my scarf,
Yeah.
all bundled up, but the way that wind was hitting my face, I'm like,
Yeah.
am I crying? Like it was that cold.
makes like your nose freeze.
Yeah,
up.
I was like, it was so cold. I was like, I had to step into a Subway, and like,
Yeah.
I didn't really want any cookies, but I was like, I just needed to warm up
Were they-
for a
are they
second.
hot?
Yeah, it was. It's.
Is my nose running? I can't tell.
Yeah,
We're
It's
complaining
frozen to my
about
face.
how cold it is here, but it's nothing compared to
Nah,
like
that hawk
yeah,
is different, man.
It's a whole nother ball game.
I was the same person, like, nah, I know what a winter is. Nah, it's cool. And I got up there and I was like,
No,
remember on
sir.
Friday, I was like, no. Like, this is different. Yeah, this definitely is different. So,
You want some too, old man?
no. So hopefully Reese is cool,
Got
man.
right
and
back in the car.
Hopefully that doesn't start any foolishness.
Yeah, man. Hope not.
Let's see. So, shout out to the homie DJ Metronome for actually opening up Decademics, his store where you can go in there and buy, DJ equipment, production equipment here in Indianapolis. The opening was this weekend, so from what I saw, that went well. So shout out to him. He's doing a great thing there, teaching the youth, teaching people how to become
That's
DJs.
a little misleading.
Huh?
Decademics itself has been open for 3 years.
Well, the store,
Or 5, actually.
Yeah.
5?
I
Gotcha.
believe.
But the actual retail
but
space.
the
It's a
retail
retail
spot.
store,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I meant to say.
So we opened up a retail space,
Yeah.
online store for DJs and producers, so you can buy your DJ gear. So we've literally we've been open for probably 6 months.
Okay.
We just haven't announced it because we've been slowly building the store and getting the physical space up
Right.
ready. So yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, that's and the reason I said that is because it made me think. You and I always talk about from a producer standpoint, the idea of collaboration. You know, we talk about, you know, the said person comes in and might play keys here, or might, you know, executive produce, or might, you know, throw out ideas, songwriting, etc. So I was thinking, I don't know, and Spoolz, you'll be able to speak to this, if the DJ culture is the same way. Like, I wondered, like, I don't know how DJs collab. Like, do DJs share records? Do DJs tuck the heat that they have?
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, could you kind of speak to that, Spoolz? Like, how does that work? Like, do DJs get together and say, yo, I got some heat. You want to exchange some heat, or what? Like, is that culture there? Because I know it is with producers, but I know DJs sometimes they like to tuck, from what I understand.
I mean, I think that's more of a, I think it still exists, and I'm maybe not, well, I still kind of know what's going on out here. So like, not as persistent as back in the day when everything was vinyl.
Oh, definitely.
Now back then you're talking about cats, especially like in Jamaica and shit, that would like, we're hearing like them taking the labels off of their records.
Right.
You know,
People
and
couldn't
like,
even see what they
Oh
were.
yeah,
and
like for the
marking
breaks.
Yep. And marking them so only they knew what the record was and all that shit, so people couldn't like, you know, peek into their crates and shit. And certainly prevalent here for a long time, I think. But no, I mean, I think there's always certain DJs who have, you know, there's DJ crews, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's been crews over the years. I mean, Jay Moore got to interview Rob Swift of, you know,
The
Executioners, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Mr. Sinister, I still have that interview to put out.
Yeah.
Nice. And then I interviewed Boogie Blind, who was in
Right.
Cool
that
guy
crew.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's real cool.
What was it? The Invisible Scratch Pickles and, you know, the Scratch Hamsters and all these different like crews that used to get down, but they would do like team battles, stuff like that. But when I DJ'd a lot, I would get up with people from time to time and just get music. And sometimes it was from people who weren't necessarily like DJs. It was just people who were music collectors that liked to DJ a little bit too.
Do you guys do a lot of swapping?
Sometimes. There would be like friends of mine I'd hit, like let's say I was doing like a wedding or something like that and I didn't have a certain genre.
Right.
I could hit up Nick and be like, hey man,
I need some bossa
I need
nova,
like,
man.
yeah, 30 or 40
Yeah.
tracks of some genre that I
Yeah.
don't have. He's like, all right. But again, Nick's like the homie. So like I wouldn't hit up a DJ who I didn't know.
For sure.
It wasn't like such a good friend and just be like,
Right.
hey man, you got 30 or 40 tracks I could get. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Or, but then as far as like other collaboration, like when I was doing it a lot, like I used to love to sit and like cut with other DJs and
Right.
scratch and shit like
Right.
that. man.
That's what I was looking for.
It was
as
just
well.
fun to have little sessions, man. Like if you could make it happen, you know, or even if you just had one set of turntables, just taking turns and shit. And
Right.
Like, you know, it was fun. It was really fun, and you get to watch other people. They get to watch you. You get to, you know, get little ideas and shit like that, or things to practice or try.
We had a lot of that going on Sunday too. So we
Oh,
had
yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Look, you're around a lot of the DJs because you're at the school a lot. Do you tend to see some of the stuff that Spoolz is talking about, or
Yeah, there's definitely specific DJs that I know that are old school that don't share files,
yeah,
and
You
we
gotta
all
be
we all
plugged.
know some of these people.
yes, you got to
Um,
be super plugged. Yes,
And you know, but at the same time, I've shared records with him, and he's literally given me records before too.
yes,
Oh man, I
Um,
got yeah, likewise.
You know, so it's like a mutual exchange. It's an
Yeah.
appreciation. It's like understanding, like you got to understand the culture where it comes from too, and like now everything's more readily available. Back then, like to come up on certain shit was like, oh shit, like I
Yeah.
literally am the only person that has this,
Yeah.
or one of 20 people, you know, or you know, it was just different back then. So, but yeah, we've even been even for the last couple of weeks, months, we've been putting together a new, not curriculum necessarily. Well, actually, not new curriculum at all. But for the DJs, we've been reworking our file system
Okay.
and the files that we have for students. And so even the conversations, we're like, cool, we'll give them this and this, but I'm not going to give them this heat.
Right.
See,
You know what I mean? It's just like,
right.
but that's, that's just how it goes too.
Sure.
Like it's the same way with producers too. Like I just finished a drum kit, so I gave you the drum kit. I'm not going to give that to just anybody.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's just like, here, take this, listen to it, tell me what you think, and vice versa and back. Now, eventually I'm going to put it out, but it's the same thing. It's just like sharing samples. We used to share samples back in the day.
all the time.
So.
But everybody wouldn't get that privilege, to your point, where you just
Sure.
like, let me send you a folder of heat that I have, and then you send me one back.
I don't want to send you a folder of heat and then it like you do some really corny shit with it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You got to trust. You got to trust who you share that heat with. I agree.
And it's the same thing with DJing.
Okay. Okay. I was wondering about that because, like, we were talking about the
At least from the outside looking in, I'm only a novice DJ at this point, practicing my transformers.
whatever, man.
It's awesome, man.
So he's cutting and scratching on
I
something.
don't like that. I don't like that. I'm hating. We were talking about the homie Pat Jr. earlier. He dropped his. What's the name of his album?
I Thought I Knew.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good.
That's the
solid
name
album.
of the album. Not you thought you knew the name of the album.
Correct. Yeah.
But no, we were talking about his collaborative process. I don't know the
𝗀𝗲𝗱 and Junior.
Okay.
His sound kit.
Yeah, they have the
company.
sound kits, and
sound. Yeah.
they're doing really well. They they always talk about artists that have used some of those sounds and for some major placements and stuff like that. So it really just made me think about the importance of that collaborative process, especially now, because a lot of people are getting together and you're starting to see people work together more. You know what I'm saying? To reach a common goal. Like tall black guy, my guy Terrell from out east. Like he always tells me about, hey man, I'm in a studio working with XYZ. There's always a bass player here or a key player here, or there's a video I saw with him and Zoe working together. And it's like, he's like, dude, it's just something about the process of coming in there and seeing somebody else. It's different.
It's
You know what I'm
different.
saying? But it also challenges you in a certain way if you're in there with the right person.
Certainly.
You know what I'm saying? And
I think
that's a good thing.
Yeah, the community aspect of, just hip hop in general, it jumps into, like, to me, that's the power of it. Like,
Right.
I never really subscribed to. I just talked about me like hoarding drum kits, but I really don't. I really don't. Like even on the computers at the school are all the drum kits that I collected, and I tell students, you can take them, have them. Like at some point in time, it's like you have to have, just as an artist, like collaboration is more empowering and more powerful than not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would I hoard this if you can go? Why am I trying to compete with you over sounds? Like,
End of the day, man, anybody can take any of that shit and do something completely different than the other person, the next person. So like,
doesn't really matter.
like I've got to, like it's like having a really awesome set of like fucking tools in your garage or something like that. But if you don't know how to make shit, it doesn't really
What's
matter.
the point?
You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly it. And that's always been my motto. So I was just, take it. It's fine. Generally, I just talked about the sample stuff. Don't get me wrong.
But I get it.
Like if I come up on some really rare, stuff I know nobody has, I'm not going to advertise it. But if somebody asks me for it, I'll give it to them.
I mean, it's the we always hear in rap or in music or the hip hop culture, you hear the phrase "each one teach one," and I think that's very important because at some point somebody helped me or threw me a bone or showed me something somewhere.
Right.
You lying if you say you got to where you are, whatever level or whatever, and there was no assistance. Somebody gave you a plug, somebody pointed you in the right direction, somebody sat down with you, somebody spent some time with you somewhere. So to me, it's whack if you get older and you get experience and then you don't share that with someone in whatever form. It could be producing, it could be, engineering, it could be executive producing, it could be casual conversation about L's that you've taken, right?
Right.
The goal is to get that next person or whomever it is to avoid the L's that you took, right? Like that's just how it goes. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people, there are some people that are older artists that kind of hoard, jewels. I don't agree with that.
You know what? I think what it is sometimes too, I think people are very protective of the culture as well.
Definitely.
And I
agree.
think that is important as well. Like if you see somebody who's legitimately out here who wants to learn,
That's the point.
who wants to embody the same stuff that that you embody yourself, then cool.
Well,
But if you're just like a poser, culture, snatcher, it's different.
Right.
They got to be qualified 100%. Go ahead, Jamar. I'm sorry.
well, no, because because I've been working at Ďakademics for maybe 3-4 years now, and I get to hear a lot of the young DJs, not young as an age, but young as their place in the game,
Right.
come in and do things. And if I think they're serious, like, they may just think I'm the guy sitting at the front desk making sure they don't break anything, but if they really want to have a discussion about music and how to put together a list and how to do your analytics so you're not up there just playing the same 20 songs everyone else is playing,
Right.
then if I feel like they really want to learn, then I'll give them that, I'll give them a few jewels and let them know my knowledge of being in and around the game for more than 20 years at this point, because I've come up under, the DJs from St. Louis, like, Toss and Ted and DJ Vu and DJ Cut. But then when I came here and I was running the record pool that Spoolz was a part of, the Hit Breakers record pool, shout out to DJ Rec One, guys like Cool Hand Lex, Scott Metallic, DJ Metronome, all these guys were in that record pool.
Yeah.
So they would get certain records, but at the same time, they just didn't rely on that.
Yeah.
And some people, they would just get the records and they might just take them home, put them on the shelf. Or they would just get those records and be like, okay, I'm cool with these, but like there's still other records you might need to get involved with. So especially when you guys talked about earlier about, sharing files and, what you do back and forth. Look, there was a time where, if you caught somebody, even looking at what the crate that you brought in, that could cause fights and ruin friendships. Right. It's a different time now because, at one point you could say you had a hookup with somebody at a record company in New York, you'd have something that, and somehow you got it back to the Midwest or the West Coast, you'd have something no one else had.
Right.
So, there was a competition, like maybe you had a white label or something or a test pressing, you weren't so apt to share those things with other DJs and you just couldn't share them. Like if you gave it to them, then you didn't have it. It wasn't like today when you could just bring a flash drive over and get busy.
You know what's interesting too?
It's a lot different game.
Yeah, in the crate days, the real like organic crate days, it was a different story. But to Jay Moore's point, like if you had a test press of something that wasn't out on vinyl, only you had that, man.
Or just
but like anybody could have that.
The investment financially was different.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Like I remember
like to pay to get something pressed.
And that's probably that obviously factors into that as well.
If there was a hot record and you weren't in a record pool or it didn't come through a record pool and it was being played on the radio, but for some reason there was maybe 3 copies of it in the entire city. I know people who said, look, I paid $30 for this record at Rockin' Billy's so I could have it and move the crowd because there was I know I'd be the only person in the city to have it.
That's tough.
Yep.
But what's interesting is that, so with that even being said, with the culture, there's so much music being made right now. And I know for the fact the first time that I do some sort of live set out that I'm going to play records that nobody knows. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, it's different now because people want to hear, at least in the city that we are in, Indianapolis, it doesn't matter if it's like a crazy, great, rare record that is amazing.
Doesn't matter.
People have to know it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And so the culture has changed even in that aspect too. Like it's different.
It's funny you say that because whenever I go out east to visit my man DJ named Jeezy, he's from Nat, but he lives in Maryland now. So whenever I go out and I see him spin or he's having an event or something, I always catch myself walking up to the DJ table to see what's going on. What is that? What are you playing? What is that? What is that? That's not here. Like, I don't get that feeling here. I never have to be like, what is that? What? I haven't heard that before. What are you playing? Like, but when I go out east, every 15 minutes is like, yo, I've never heard that before. And maybe that's a cultural thing because out there, there's been times where I've heard in a night 8 records that I've never heard in my life.
Well,
or remixes or what have you from other producers or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I understand exactly what you're saying there, but I will give, this is how I explained it to somebody this weekend. it's like when you're DJing, you got to think about either you're doing something that has to do you're either doing an independent movie or you're doing a big blockbuster. You know, when you come to Coaches, that's when you can get your independent movie on. You can go to Crazy Angles and do the ill storytelling. When you're at the Patron Saint, you know, these are all local places here in India. Even when you're in like the Pioneer or maybe the Hi-Fi.
It just depends on the event itself.
But, you know, when you go when you're at the Casbah on Saturday nights where I'm at with DJ Lockstar, or when I'm at Lemmy Vice and Gabby Love and Action Jackson at Tiki Bob's, we're making the Marvel movie there. We're doing the things people are going to expect, and we know they're going to love. The explosions, the cars flipping out, that's what we're doing. So you got to kind of know the places to go. Either you're going to go see an independent movie or you're getting ready to go see the Avengers. You know.
That's real. That's real. Well said.
Kind of say that about hip hop in general.
Yeah,
sometimes
that really is
music often, like popular music often.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Yeah.
I think sometimes for me,
but it's like we don't have very many crazy huge parties here where the vibe is crazy and there's tons of people there and you can just play whatever you want. Like we don't have a ton of stuff
there's not
like that
an
here.
in-between of what.
Which,
Jay
to your
described.
point, I've seen that in Chicago.
oh yeah,
You know,
Where
like
people go there to not hear songs they don't know.
bro, I remember the last time I was in Chicago at Revel where Slat was DJing.
yeah.
No, Castle wasn't there that week, but I walked in and the first song that I heard was a Suff Daddy remix of Gucci Mane's
I was with you.
Bitch I Might Be,
we were
whatever
waiting
song
in
that
line.
is.
Yep.
And it was like, you know, it's just one of those things. Like, it was just crazy. It was just a really dope record. And I was like, yeah, see, I wouldn't walk into a venue space typically in Indianapolis in a club setting and I think it says less about the DJs. It's not really much about, it's about the culture of Indianapolis.
It's the culture.
Yeah, I was gonna say population also might play a slight role in that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They have
I don't know.
4 times as many people as we do. That equals more pockets. That equals more
True,
things
but
for that. But the culture aspect, I totally agree with. I think the population part doesn't help.
yeah,
It's a smaller bucket of people.
but
to
again,
try
it was like a club, you know, like it was a dance club type feel as well too. So I guess maybe you will get more people out.
There's 10 of what Jay Moore just describes going on in Chicago.
Yeah.
There's 2 in Indy, but there's 10 in Chicago because there's
Right.
more people.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know what I'm saying? Like
That's fair, I
there's
guess.
But the culture part, I think, is bigger.
I do think the culture is different, though.
Oh, 100%. Even in you know, back to speaking about the DMV, you know, the Suff Daddy remix that you're talking about, like I've been to day parties there and heard that. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, that's foreign here to hear records like that. You know, with producers that might not be necessarily household names that do dope remixes and dope flips. You know what I'm saying? And then
This is a 10-year-old record, too.
exactly.
So,
and
I
then
mean,
you hear that
At least.
and you hear that in the regular rotation for the party. That's different because it doesn't.
Yeah,
and it also,
yeah.
but it doesn't feel like it stands out. Everybody, the groove is not lost because that comes on.
Yeah.
To me, that's rare, and that's one of the things I noticed in other areas. And I do think that the culture has a big part of that because that has to be the norm if people are acting like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I do remember that night. I tapped you. I was like, I was pointing in, and we was like, ooh, like we was hype because he was playing that. So, shout out to Slot, man. Slot has always been one of those dudes, and
He's actually going to be in Indy next week.
Yeah. He's actually playing in Coaches.
He might
next
actually
Tuesday
be on
night.
the show next week. Who
Uh-oh.
knows?
Yeah.
shout out to DJ Castle too out there in New York doing his thing. You know what else I thought about too? Real quick, let's shout out to the partners, Coleman Dental. Make sure you get your teeth is right, as we always say. Broad Ripple here in Indianapolis. Bringing out a band as always. It is the hub for everything new old heads. Indie CD and vinyl. Great partner. They take care of us with the wax for the raffles that we do on our Patreon site /New Old Heads. Who am I missing? No Bad Ideas. You see the product placement from Lone. If you look around, you see no Bad Ideas merch. They've been a partner of ours since we started.
Backpack you really want that you're not getting.
Yeah, I know somebody that's supposed to get it. She better come on, cause
Nice new backpack.
So shout out to them as well. Did I miss anybody? Is that everybody? Printfinity. Shout out to the homie DJ Jay Diff. That is his company. He does great work there. T-shirts.
We miss you, bud.
Yeah, man. So shout out to the homie as well. Now, kind of keep it with this. Well, not necessarily on the collab thing, but I saw a post where, and I think it was Metronome that said the snitching that goes on for samples now for producers, and how somebody was asking about Kanye's samples or something like that. I'm thinking that's what it was. It might have been Kanye's album, and they were like, "What sample was this?" And Metronome's like, "Man, the game is messed up now because you can just do a click of a button and find the sample."
This whole website's
been that way, man.
But what I'm saying is, like, I remember being in college and being like reading the credits and being like, "Yo, I'm gonna see if I can go actually find this sample," versus being like, "All right, I can look for it online and see an MP3 of it right there and click on a sample for the part that they chopped."
The times they have changed.
Yeah, man. So,
but
it's
it's
a little
been
rendition of Bob Dylan.
I see you.
But at the same
Changed
time,
it up.
but even with that being said, like the culture has changed around it because
True.
like I remember I commented, I was just kind of trolling, but I commented on there's this video, there was this YouTube channel and they have this thing where they break down individual samples of people's entire albums.
Yes.
And so they like point it out. And I'm like, that's fine if you're somebody who literally clears samples, right?
Okay.
Right.
But if you're out there snitching on an entire underground community of like going out there and doing rare samples, like why is that
That's
cool?
whack.
And so I commented on, I was like, "Oh, so y'all out here snitching." And this had a ton.
So what happened now? No, I heard your whole story. I'm just saying, like, what made you? What's different from that than like the breaks.com and all this other shit that we all
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Genie or whatever it's called, Who Sampled and stuff like that. Same idea. This just happened to be a YouTube channel where it was literally a video. I think it was like a Freddie Gibbs album or something, like
It
Pinata.
lists all of them.
And it's just like every single sample at every single point, and it's just I don't know. It just rubs me wrong. It probably rubs me wrong as a producer more so than anything else. But you know, like if I was clearing all my samples, then I wouldn't care.
Right. Yeah,
but if I'm an independent artist who's out here trying to make some money,
dude,
and you're out here just snitching on all my samples and getting me sued,
I'm
gonna be
man.
mad.
Thank you.
Let me ask you this question.
Okay, go ahead.
If money and all that had nothing to do with it,
Uh-huh.
as far as getting sued and stuff like that, and people did stuff like that, like what your man did on YouTube or the breaks.com or this shit, do you think it'd be as much of an issue?
I don't know.
Is there an artistic side to it too? Because I've heard Premier talk about this shit.
Yeah, there
on a
is.
Gangstar album.
There is, absolutely.
Moment of Truth, all those records y'all put out, Snitching.
Yep.
And that was 15 years
98.
ago. Yeah, long ago.
Yeah, no,
21
for sure.
years ago.
21 years ago.
There absolutely is that element as well. I think depending on who you are, like
The purist.
like I don't personally care if I chop a record up if you can find it. Like I don't like it has no like I don't pride myself of I found this rare stuff and I'm gonna chop marker 634 to 636 and nobody's like I don't care. I personally don't care. But I definitely do think that there is that.
Well, I had a chance to interview Jake One several years ago.
Oh, you balling?
Yeah, I mean, I have opportunities.
Was I there? Okay. Was this a barbershop?
Yes, it was a barbershop conversation.
Yeah,
before,
I was there
before
too.
LeBron James had his. We were trailblazing.
Well, I wasn't there. Okay.
And
no, you weren't.
He had his,
Thanks, Brad.
yeah, he had his stimulus package album out. Now that album has one very clear, that he paid for the She Makes Me Feel All Right. That had
The Rick James.
Makes me feel.
Now, and he talked about it. It's the Wild West as far as sampling now,
Yeah.
because this is an independent release. Now, there are more samples on that album.
Yep.
Oh, there's tons.
But, if I would feel some kind of way if somebody put out a whole posting of, like, here's where he got all of these.
Right.
Like, what kind of shit is that to do?
Exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying?
You'll say one thing.
Yeah.
That one?
But that's the whole album. I was like, the only one that's listed is
do you
the
remember
Rick James.
how he said? Do you remember him mentioning, but he really wouldn't get into how he was able to obtain some stems of.
Man, I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember when he talked about him actually having stems. I was like, oh, it makes sense.
Yep.
I was like,
it's so clean.
it's so clean.
Yep.
So clean.
I remember him talking about that.
And I was like, ah,
I was like, that's what,
Okay.
dude, that helps.
man,
If you got
that
some
helps.
plug like that.
Yeah.
I've actually heard. I had
And
a
that's
chance-
not taken away from him because he's
New. He's
ill
an
as hell.
incredible producer.
But he
First of all,
definitely had the plug on them stems.
when you
Shout out to Jake One.
when you actually hear like older records and you hear the stems of those older records, man, it's so amazing to actually hear everything stripped down. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So the fact he's still dope for chopping it, don't get it twisted. But I'm just saying, to me, the nerd in me gets excited when I get a chance to hear the bass line by itself, the drums by themselves,
Yeah.
the horns by themselves, how they were panned back then.
you should talk
you know-
speed.
Oh, let me tell you something, and
That's where I heard something from. Shout out to Top Speed.
I'm not going to give out
He
too
plugged
much
me.
game.
Don't give
But
it too, not too much.
Top Speed, shout out to DJ Top Speed.
Absolutely.
Like, you got to understand, this dude is like DJ Yoda.
Man,
Oh,
As
yeah.
far as what he's willing to show people. And, you know, he'll give you just enough. But at the same time, one of the craziest things he did was, remember when that Guitar Hero game was out, or like Band Hero and all those games were really
Yeah.
Yeah,
popular?
Rock Band.
Like, he found a way, because he's not a gamer.
yeah.
Although, what's crazy, he's such an incredible DJ. His hand-eye coordination. We were at an arcade, and I saw him play 𝐀𝐿𝐴, and I'm like, dude, you're on like level 36. I've never seen anybody get this far before. Like, he's probably still got the high score at Tappers for 𝐀𝐿𝐴.
Oh, that's
But
tough.
That's neither here nor there, but it was just funny for me to see him do that. But he actually found a way to take the Beatles Guitar Hero game
Yeah.
and get the vocals
Oh, that's clever.
off.
That's clever.
and
I never thought about that.
And somehow get the vocals off of the. He had no interest in really playing the game, but he got it and then was able to add Beatles raw vocals to his collection.
He low
it's
key
crazy.
is a scientist.
He
with
got the
that,
science
man.
down. He's
on
got
the
the
low.
science.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a scientist.
We're talking about making some break records, and we actually have a 45 where on one side I flipped one sample, and on the other side he made a DJ break record on the other side using the same sample. So
You balling?
Nice,
no, we're
man.
not, but we had it ready. But damn, I forgot what I was gonna say.
He's definitely one of those dudes that taught me a lot.
Yeah.
Him and Nick, DJ Metronome, and many others. But
That guy's
yeah,
different.
shout
man.
to Top Speed.
Oh yeah,
He's
Top Speed.
different.
The way his mind works, like you can't. There's, he's a one of one.
Yeah, he's a different guy.
But no, what I was going to say too was, one, I think I found a program that I'm going to experiment with that I think that I can actually
stripping,
do some stripping.
Oh, I can't wait for this.
So I found
audio
one.
scripping.
But aside from that, no. So to my major point, when I commented and I was just kind of trolling, I was just like, "Oh, so y'all out here snitching?" So they responded back with the idea of, "Oh, well, it's already out there."
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, okay."
Of course, yeah, it's already.
I would say I'll play
And you're amplifying it.
not
Yeah.
for these folks, but in general, when I had visited those sites in the past, just out of curiosity, it was more because I wanted to learn. Like, I really liked the sound of that sample, and I wanted to find the artist so I could listen to more of that artist's music.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it is.
I've done that.
For sure.
That's how I got a lot of my love for jazz.
That's how I got hip
Is-
to Ann Peebles, and that's how I got
Yeah.
hip to Wendy Renee and like
Yep.
people like that, like incredible soul singers.
Because
like,
they wound up sampling things that weren't particularly popular
Yep.
at the time.
The
Yeah.
B-sides were the coldest samples I would
Yeah.
that you would go through. It's not the joints everybody thinks about. It's track 14.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Those are the ones. But to Spool's point, like, when you find those artists and if you try to find the full album or whatever, and you get to listening to the full album, it's like, damn, these artists actually had heat. You know what I'm
were
saying?
really
Like,
good.
it's really good music. Like, I can listen to 70s soul or Chicago. You know what I'm saying? I can listen to that
Steely Dan
riding
Right.
around. Like, it doesn't bother me. Like, I appreciate the musicianship. I can listen to that.
There is like an element though to it, like as a producer of the digging element too, that this does like take away. So I remember, for just a quick brief example, I remember when Kill Bill came out and RZA scored it, and I was like, man, this is crazy because there's music from all over the place. And so I got that and I looked the credits up. I found all the artists. every single artist that was on there. I found all the artists that were featured on those artists. And I just went down to, I went down that path and I found them all, found their albums.
I remember
got their albums, and I just kept going. And you know, that's different than going to a YouTube page that somebody just clearly defines
Completely
everything.
agree.
Right.
And it's I don't know.
Because to his point, I remember this. I remember what he's talking about. Like, he did the research. Like, he really went out and showed me like a folder of all the research that he had done based off the movie.
I gave you some of those records.
And he gave me some of them, and I'm like, yo, these are, I've never heard these before. I don't even know who this person is. So
there's a really dope Japanese artist and an Italian artist too. Those together were some
he just put the work in and found them. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not hating saying
𝐀𝐁𝐎𝐃𝐃𝐒. Go look it up.
Were they newer artists or were they
One
older?
was newer. One actually, a couple of them were newer. Some of them were older. If you're a hip hop producer and you haven't and you sample and you haven't ventured down Italian music, find that wormhole.
Shout to Joe Harvey, man. He used to play all kinds of shit for me, man. Like different cultures from different countries and shit like that.
Me and Joe used to scour the internet for rare zip files of different people. We found a couple really dope websites where this one dude literally just recorded records and just unzipped them.
That's awesome.
And then we found it.
Psych Rock.
We got every Shouts to 𝐀𝐁𝐎𝐃. Me and 𝐀𝐁𝐎𝐃 used to go and sample a lot of Psych Rock.
Joe got me so hip, like to a different type of Psych Rock that I hadn't listened to before when I was younger. Like again, like we said before, the shit that wasn't super popular. Yeah, you know.
And the music is like.
It's different.
Some of the music is just genius, man. When you from a musical standpoint.
Oh yeah,
just
about German music, about like Kraftwerk and
like
people like
Czechoslovakian, like a lot of Eastern European,
Eastern European shit was,
stuff. But crazy industrial
but they got like
sounds.
Jazz. They got like 70s jazz from those people.
Let me tell you though.
But they have orchestras too, though. Like, you know what I mean? Like all of that. The music is incredible, man.
Out of everybody though, Italian music, man.
Yeah,
it's just so broad and wide, and the instrumentation, it's just
He usually has a lady that's singing in an incredible voice, and I don't know what she's saying.
Yeah,
but it's dope. So
doesn't matter. It's beautiful music.
It's beautiful. Let's get to some music real quick before we get out of here. Shout out to the homie Tragic. He dropped "Welcome to Trap Town." Indianapolis artist. He's been getting his acting on out here in these streets, been doing some things. I listened to his project. He got some heat on there. Dylan Prevails, Joey French, the homies, did some production on there as well.
Tragic was the only reason I even watched Empire last season.
There you go. Shout out to the homie, man, for being on that. So I definitely would give his album a run. If you've not streamed that, support the homie, because he is definitely trending upward and deserves it because he's been working hard. So salute to the homie there.
Go Naptown.
Yes, sir. Yep. Dave East dropped Survival. I like this Dave East album. It's long, few features, you know,
which is kind of crazy to say. You know, for albums we're so used to stuff being.
I should say pause like
long.
Dame Dash.
We're grown-ups.
Yeah, we don't.
Nor are we homophobic.
Yeah.
Thanks, Spoolz.
There you go.
Rick Ross, Fabulous. The king of R&B, 𝗀𝐃𝐒 is on there. The Dream.
On whose album? Dave East?
Max B.
Max B.
Ty Dolla
The
Sign.
Wave.
Yeah, they got a joint on there called Godfather 4 with Nas. It's cold.
Dude, it's just good to see Max B out. That dude was supposed to like originally do like 70 years or something. So shout out to Max B.
And then shout out to my homie, man, my little homie Nas Cent. He produced Daddy Knows on there. There's a joint with Dave East and his daughter. So
he's a Chicago guy, right?
Yeah, that's my young boy there. I remember him from we were coming up in Chicago. He was a little younger than us.
He ain't that young anymore.
He ain't young. He out here grown in these streets, man. I'm proud of him though. He's doing his thing.
Is he bigger than you? Like, could he whoop you?
He's tall.
He's tall.
So
he can't whip me in one-on-one though. I give him 30 in one-on-one.
You got a decent reach. You just
Who
never
was
know.
the dude?
Yeah, he got a reach on me, but I still give him 30.
Who do you used to work with? Was it
my man QB?
QB. Oh, that's right.
So they were a tandem, and they produced a couple of joints with 50 Cent.
That's right.
And then Nas Cent moved out. He's out west now. And he's doing his thing, man. I'm proud of him. Proud of the young fella right there. That's a good look for him. So shout out to my man Nas Cent on that one. He's doing his thing. I'm trying to think of anything else dropped that I missed.
I listened to the Brother Ali and Evidence project. You guys might have brought it up last week.
Yeah, that project is hard.
Definitely listen. That's a really good album.
Yeah, it is really
good. I enjoyed it.
They got some heat. That West Side Gun is still going for me too.
I still
playing
haven't
that.
pressed play on that one yet.
Yeah. He
Blockhead dropped Bubble Bath.
great
I
name.
need
there.
to listen to that.
If you're into instrumental music and hip hop beats type style, he just makes good music.
Does
Man,
it sound
he's
like
dope?
Does it sound like Black Shampoo on
Probably
Wu-Tang
not.
Forever?
No.
All right.
No.
I was just asking.
De La, if you're also a beathead, you probably know De La. He dropped a project called Electrique, ELECTRIQUE,
Okay.
and it's an ode to Andre Benjamin and Big Boy.
Hey,
So
Okay.
a lot of remixes on there.
I can get with that.
I can
Cool.
get with that.
There's a couple others too. Of course, we mentioned Pat Jr. dropped
Shout out to
project
homie Pat Jr. Man. Yeah.
and Water.
The homie Water, yes sir.
Dropped a
Shout-town.
project with Water and the Standouts.
Yeah.
I forget the project. It's called like The Honorable, I believe.
You talk about bars,
And,
man. It's one of the most consistent right there. Shout out to the homie Water.
He puts a lot of music out, man.
He is working. That young man is working. So shout out to the homie, man. He
Good to be working.
You guys see
he's on a good path.
I read something, I don't know how old this is now, but every track that was on Kanye's new album was in the top 100 at one point.
That's tough.
Well,
I
I mean,
don't know, but this bitch regular.
well, that's the way.
Be careful, Jay Moore.
Look, we just got to talk about how metrics work nowadays.
The deer slims will come out on you.
That's
Be careful.
fine. So when albums come out and you stream them, it's like it basically almost counts as a micro sale. Like I remember when the last Beyonce came out, at one point, every record off of her album was in the top 100. You know, everything charts these days. You know, when I'm doing, because when I'm in big into the music analytics and how they've changed. Unless, something, because someone would say, oh, I got a top 40 song. I was like, yeah, but then it was 67 the next week.
But that's tough though, because
And then it was 91.
But
He has the number
is it
one
gospel?
album right now.
He does.
too.
But, also, just like I listen to it, you listen to it. There are a lot of people who listen to it the week it came out because we had to have an opinion on it, and we haven't picked it up since.
What
I think a lot of people like it.
I think the production is great. I
I'm sorry,
like the
Mike.
way the music
You're right.
sounds, but it's messed up to say the worst part of the Kanye West album is Kanye West.
is so is it charting on the gospel charts or is it
Oh no, because it's considered a gospel album.
okay? That's
So
what's up. Congratulations
I'm not
to him.
gonna,
That's dope.
His success is his success, but like I said,
That's why people are calling him a genius.
But there's a new music analytics. It changes all the time, and there's it's when someone says Nicki Minaj has more, top charting hits or they broke the top 100 than Aretha Franklin. I was like, the standard is completely different.
That's
of
a
how
fact.
It's just different.
The only
It's
songs
changed.
that Aretha Franklin could get
It's
into
never
the
going
top
back.
100 are songs that she released as singles. Every song that Nicki Minaj puts out is technically a single.
Yep.
That's a fact.
And once again, they'll chart, and then a week later, they'll be gone. But it technically counts as charting.
Hey, well, congratulations to that brother, man. That's that's a big deal.
Side
Yeah,
note, man.
congratulations to him.
Did you see Gucci put out WAPtober 2.
Yeah.
When he put it
I
out a
love
few
that
weeks
name.
ago. That was his 101st project that he's put out.
Yo, I don't care what you say, man. That 101 projects. Come on, man.
Especially considering the time he spent in prison,
Yeah.
and still to be able to.
And my
Before he-
favorite song is a remix.
So you
And-
sleep. There's some healthy Gucci out there you sleep on.
So we
Am
got
I?
101 projects from Gucci.
I think so. Maybe.
Jay Electronica was the anniversary of him signing to Rock Nation like 11 years ago.
Got you.
And he did
Gotcha.
not put out 101 projects.
Exactly. We don't care.
I don't know if he put 101 songs out.
Well, you
No,
know.
I don't know if he cracked 20.
Yeah.
No, he did actually.
Who?
Yeah, Jay
Jay
Electronica.
Electronica?
Yeah. One of
cool.
his mixtapes had like 20.
I'm cool on Jay Electronica. I'm cool.
But you know what? If he came out with something tomorrow, you trust and believe I'd listen.
I'd listen, but there'd be minimal excitement
Do
because
you guys know his some of his story about sleeping with a member of the Rothschild family and all that?
I've
It's pretty wild.
all
Oh,
that.
word.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I'm
Plus
sleep.
the kid with Erica Badu, and
He does.
Maybe I should look into that shit instead of waiting on the album.
I think
Like,
he'd
just
be a
read the
really
story.
interesting dude to talk to.
yeah,
I do.
if he was willing to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, he ain't putting no album out, so it'd probably be a good conversation.
I
Like,
still
he-
listen to Exhibit A and C.
C.
He
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
still he's probably
Shiny
still
suit
performing
theory,
off he's probably still performing off those 2 records.
I always liked the joint he did with the Eternal Spotless or Eternal, that sample flip he did.
Oh yeah.
Eternal, what is the movie?
Eternal something.
Sunshine of a Spotless Mind.
There we go.
I mean, the brother's an incredible MC, but I'm just saying I'm cool on waiting on the album. Like I'm
Sure.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
You know, if it drop, it drop. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's gonna do it for this episode. Make sure you go to our patreon.com/newoldheads and subscribe. Also go to YouTube and search bringingdowntheband.com. Make sure you subscribe and also hit that bell for notifications so you can stay in the loop with the new old heads. For the entire crew, I am Major 7th, and we will see y'all next week. Peace.
Yeah.
Dear Slim.
I wrote you.